train don't run here anymore. A village ain't like it was before. The Arno was so poor, the company shut the door. Now the train don't run here anymore.
Riskinny was a little mining town.
We had 2 drugstores. We had the city cafe was a huge cafe. We had 3 auto dealerships, a gas company, creamery, lumber yards, elevator, and a grain store. We had 2 or 3 law offices. We had the REA office that has moved. We had really quite an extensive business district. Well, of course, there were a lot of church functions. And the library was not there. That was the old Legion building was there.
And where was the library previously?
The library was at the top floor of the old City Hall down on the south end of Main Street.
I think the Nile Theater was very popular, and at one time we had 2 theaters.
But the one other than the Nile Theater was silent, and they had a lady that played the piano.
But the scars linger on, how the train don't run here anymore.
And this was the dehydrating potato plant.
And that's about time right now.
Yeah, and then it was a monument company where you could buy markers for funeral.
Yeah, auto parts store for years.
And then there was the Gamble's appliance store. And then there's the Scott hardware store. And then there's Dr. Watson's office.
There's a little white church lived on the hill.
And then on the corner was the old hotel that had a beauty shop.
So where these apartments are now was the old hotel.
Was the old hotel, and it had a beauty shop and a liquor store in it. And there was a bar cafe on the corner here. The piano. There was a piano repair store in there. I don't know if it's still there or not. And then before Hickman Williams, there was the bank, right? Well,
It was in where Hickman
that's
Williams
what I
is
said
now,
before
yes.
Hickman Williams. There's the bank there, and now it's Hickman Williams Insurance Company.
There was a dentist office in there too
Well, listen,
during the 30s.
Jimmy Lane's jewelry store.
Yeah.
It was in the Index remodel. Took a lot of these.
Newcastle and Eagle Rock was on that line. I can still hear the big steam engine whine as it comes around the bend, blowing smoke in the wind.
And then you go across the street to City Hall, and that was First National Bank.
So now we're on the west side of town, and we're going to start with family medicine. And you said this used to be
A residence.
Residence, okay. Well, now it's financial service in the Index building.
Okay, financial service was Fitzcomb Plumbing and Heating, and where the Index is now was Dr. Leffel's office. And then the Food Pride, I would say it faced the south. When it burned down, they rebuilt it to the building that it is now.
8 or 9
If you count all over town.
outlets with
Yeah.
little neighborhood groceries, and then we had a couple or 3 bigger ones.
Because they weren't all on Main Street. To the south of the grocery store was a big 2-story house, and then on the corner was Dr. Ohm's office. And
That was a hardware store.
and a grocery store,
Yeah, both.
and a jewelry store.
Okay, and then
Okay,
next to that is the feed barn.
Okay, and that was the Modern Cleaners. And next to the Modern Cleaners was the Mitchell Bakery, which is now Bloomer's. And then SNS Plumbing was Kennedy Drug Store. And the cafe next to that was a jewelry store. Then the next one was O.P. Burrow's office.
And that's a cafe now.
And then next to that was what you refer to it as the fashion shop. That was a second-hand store at one time. Helgerson's was the Mitchell Meat Market.
The old butcher shop was a nice place to go and visit for farmers and ranchers. They would come in, and I know I like to go in
That
there
was the meat
myself.
market, Mitchell.
The meat market.
Part of that was the Ben Franklin store, and then to the south of that was the L.B. Murphy Company, and on the corner was a grocery store. And then you go across the street to City Hall, and that was First National Bank. This King's Close was the North Central Gas Company, and upstairs was the Masonic and Eastern Star, where they held their meetings. And then there was the liquor store.
And that's in the bakery. Company B&G,
Oh, that was the pool hall.
Air Express,
Part of that building was, and the next one to it was Hall Furniture Warehouse. Stiver's Barber Shop, where D-Best is now. They built that on because that hasn't been there all that long.
Well, there was lots of employment, more during the sugar processing season. They had over 200 employees at that time, so there was a lot of income that came into Mitchell.
Yes, my father helped build that factory. My husband worked there, my brother worked there, my son worked there, my son-in-law worked there. It brought a lot of business into town. People moved into Mitchell to work there. It brought a lot of money into the city of Mitchell because we own our own utilities here. And so they paid like $75,000 a year in utilities. And when we lost that, it really hurt. But it just brought a lot, and then it helped the lumber yards, it helped all kinds of businesses because they traded here.
Everything was available to you here. New cars, machinery for the farmers, grocery stores. I've told you before that we had at least 8 or 9 grocery outlets around town. But everything was available right here. You didn't have to go to Scotch Bluff like we do now.
People, our clothes people, hardware stores, they couldn't compete with Walmart. They just could not, you know. And then when the hardware store closed, you had to go to Scotts Bluff to buy a hammer or nails or whatever. The lumber yards closed. It really hurt the businesses. The small business people just can't, and today they still can't compete with them. You know, and then you have Home Depot and all of those other large, and now you have Menards and all of those. And it really hurts. Your small people just cannot, they can't compete with them. And Saturday night was the big night. Everybody came to town and bought their groceries and visited. Every store in town on Main Street was busy because people came in and that's when they did their shopping. They didn't come down on Mondays and Tuesdays or that. They waited until Saturday. They bought their groceries. They bought their hardware things. They bought their clothes. It was just what you did on Saturday. And, you know, they went into Murphy's, and people just go up and down the streets and visit because they hadn't seen these people. You just didn't come to town like you do now. Really, they had a lot of church functions. The Masonic and Eastern Star were very, very busy. The Oddfellows and Rebecca's were very, very busy. They were organizations. This is what you did. You went to those instead. Now you watch TV, but you didn't then. And we didn't have TV for a long time. And we also, a lot of us didn't even have phones when we were in high school.
But all joking aside, I think that Mitchell is a wonderful place to live and raise a family because we have such good schools and churches, and we have enough businesses that we can get by, even though we do have to go to Scotch Bluff occasionally.